Jared, back over to you. You know, I imagine for a lot of folks here in the room, this is daunting. To assemble all data, make it trusted, enrich it, get insights, and take action. How do you get started? Like, what is step one that you need to do to start moving the ball forward? And I know you touched on it. You know, how do you measure success as you take each step?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of organizations fail to set those the evaluation methods up front. So whenever you're undertaking any project, not just a data project or even a home project, you know, knowing what success looks like and setting those evaluation metrics and evaluation procedures, processes up front is key. This way, again, you know you can measure if you're successful or if you failed. Or I should say unsuccessful. But you know, I think James hit the nail on the head with the strategy. Start with a corporate, you know, organizational strategy, mission, vision. You know, making sure decisions align with those, boiling those down then to department level, team level, understanding where the organization is moving, why, how, and then where can we affect change in, you know, and iterate in a short amount of time. Produce the tangible wins, the tangible effects, move the needle, and then, you know, start gaining momentum. Organizational inertia is another term that I'll use. You know, so I really think starting small, having the big picture strategy, breaking it down into bite-sized chunks. Again, that's another agile concept, right? Taking things in very small bites, not trying to stuff the whole sandwich in your face at once. I did want to mention really quickly, it's something that Greg made me think of. What actually does literally keep me up at night is one of the things I did with my old system is that I attached notifications to our Teams. So I get error notifications now on Teams, which I've connected now to my phone. So, you know, at least once a month at 4:30 in the morning, I'll get a Teams notification on my phone, and it'll say, "Oh, the core system data load failed." Like, oh crap, I'd better get up and make sure that it's fixed so that everyone's got their reports at 8 a.m. So that does keep me up at night. Hopefully, will not keep me up much longer.
I'm just jumping in, Bruce. You know, actually, literally, something that does keep me up at night is one of the two pugs that sleeps with my wife inevitably. But Jared, you mentioned it earlier when you and Bruce were talking, and you mentioned it now. James, you did as well. But this is about focusing on outcomes. Everybody loves outcomes, and they don't have to be change the world outcomes. They can be little steps that advance an insight or help someone save time, effort, energy in accomplishing something. And it's by effectively understanding your data and then availing that data towards a process improvement or a new analytic or KPI that you didn't have. And so, you know, when we work with folks, and again, ours is like, you can just turn us on and we start working. I mean, it's like, there's no, you don't have to like set us up or anything. I mean, we're a service and we work, but the ability to help people understand that what was previously unfathomable is now actually very reasonably achievable is all predicated on them having a vision for what outcome they're trying to drive. And little outcomes lead to bigger outcomes, lead to much bigger outcomes. And so it is, you know, it's that one bite at a time thing, but I think understanding what you don't have today, but you wish you would have, is a great way to go and communicate to the C-suite about what I'm trying to accomplish here. And it would be an outcome that they would believe in. I mean, we have a lot of observability data over, you know, how data is flowing through Snowflake to users, and we can deliver it in real time. And the ability to deliver a dashboard that has insights into what are the trends around sensitive data consumption. You'd be blown away when you can put that dashboard in front of a chief security officer or chief risk officer at a bank, and they're like, I had no idea. And then it leads to all these other questions, which drive to these other outcomes they're trying to drive, and that's how you build kind of the momentum. And that's where I always say get started. Get started small, be focused, and be continually outcome-based, because people love outcomes.
Can I quickly jump in? Just occurred to me. On the drive here, I got a Teams message from one of our VPs in operations. Lovely lady, Cynthia. Jared, I have a question. Each month we receive a report for the over 17 youth account. This report lists members who turned 18 in the previous month and have a youth share account. Our job is to change the product from a youth share to a prime share account. I have been doing this since 2004, and I think this is something that we should be able to do automatically. What do you think? And isn't it great to say, yes, Cynthia, I cannot believe you've been doing this for 20 years. Yes, let's automate that for you. So those are the types of wins that people really, it doesn't have to be big, pretty dashboards or analytics. If you can get someone who's manually had to every month change 25 to 50 accounts from youth to prime shares and do it automatically, they will thank you.
That's a great example. Thank you for sharing that. James?
That's awesome. Again, how do I follow this? I'm going to be the finance geek now talking about return on investment and free cash flow. So as I think the conversation is so germane. And again, not just higher cost of capital, but what does, as we try to bridge this chasm between technology to business. We just had our earnings last week. Fortunately, everything was good, stocks higher, everyone's in the room is clapping hands. Our CFO multiple times used the term return on investment and free cash flow. How do we then take technology transformation? So as you're talking about these processy changes, my suggestion, and I've seen it work at a number of different firms, is the concept of showing, first of all, from a defensive standpoint, how is this keeping us out of the newspaper, right? Just a simple basis of that, right? I try to tell it to my kids, if this was in the New York Times, would you be happy with what you just last did? But I think from a business standpoint, that's very germane, right? I'm trying to channel some Charlie Munger in his honor. I think the next piece of the puzzle is, how is it helping us retain our customers and members? You can draw a direct line to that between what you're doing, which could be quite successful. And I think the next piece of return on investment would be something around, revenue and growth, right? So, or of course, this is how much time and money. So TCO is a great concept. It's 3 letters, okay? Total cost of ownership. Can we show we're going to create a cost reduction? Are we saving time? Are we saving money? And showing the executives within your firm that what you're doing directly impacts those 3 vectors. And I'll say them one more time again. Keeping you out of the newspaper, retaining and growing your clients. I think I might have smashed those last 2 together, but it's really showing a revenue outcome, because that's the investment. You're showing ROI in a way that's tangible, that is going to help bridge that gap. And I think one of the other cool notes is start to think about, then as you say, okay, here's the metrics that we're using. I think it's going back to then saying, okay, here's the use case that directly correlates to those, right? By hyper-personalizing this data to our members, using behavioral data, not just something that's going to miss. We believe there'll be a 20 to 30 to 40% return and catch. It will stop churn. It will also help us grow our data, our customer base, and keep them retained, potentially make us more anti-fragile, another great term, during the next risk crisis, which will be coming at some juncture. Who knows whether it's today, tomorrow, 10 years from now. You're making your business prepared for the volatility and uncertainty that we're seeing today, and you're drawing a direct line to revenue and or your customer retention in a very direct way. Those things I've seen be successful across a number of firms, and from some people who are making very substantial asks of management for technology purposes. But it's no longer amorphous. This is not a knob-turning exercise and a piece of the engine. It's the connectivity that we all humans want to have with each other, and the data is the link to that.
Greg, any final comments?
you know, I'm not going to be able to follow that market perspective from James in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to bring it way down, you know, to more of the practitioner in terms of how do you get started on this data modernization journey. I mean, hopefully, you have someone as passionate and as qualified from a data professional perspective that Jared is within your organization to help move you along this path. But if you don't, that's okay, right? While it can seem overwhelming in terms of what's out in the market, what should you be doing, there's so many logos, as Bruce mentioned, there's so many different pieces that you can stitch together from a technology viewpoint that it can become very challenging for you to make the decision to move forward and kind of put a stake in the ground and decide the direction that you're going to head. My advice or my recommendation is, because I was in that hole, right? I was trying to figure out in a period of time what direction should we go in, where do you actually begin, how do you start? Don't be afraid to do it alone. It's okay to actually go out in the market, look for help, find a partner who can help shepherd you through this process, because they've been there, done that. They can provide a new perspective that you may not have encountered to this point, because again, this whole modernization, the data infrastructure, where we are today, you may not have that competency in-house today. You may not have that perspective. So my recommendation is, whether it's, you know, Passerelle or some other firm that you may be connected to help you shepherd through this process, you know, don't be afraid to go down that path.